So, as y'all have already, I don't think I'm twisted. Let's try this again. Okay, as you all have already discovered, I'm sure I'm not the most professional of online teachers. I would tell you I'm way more professional in real life, but I am not. I am slap happy and have always been and seem to have good luck that way. So that's how I do it. Okay, 6.2. I don't remember how long this one is. Not very, so it'll probably just be one. 6.2 looks like you're just using the trig setup to find missing parts of triangles. Just a reminder, and if we were in class, what I would do is write this on the board. I'd usually make a little chart. For your work on your desk or something, you might want to just to the side write a piece of paper and you do the a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I put that up there. Depending on the class, I sometimes write adjacent squared plus opposite squared equals hypotenuse squared, just as a reminder. It really depends on you. The trig setup, remember, is the sine of an angle is opposite over hypotenuse. The cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. The tangent is opposite over adjacent. Then I write right next to it, I write the cosecant, the secant, and the cotangent for the upside down ones. Let's see. Okay, so let's jump in and start doing problems with my list. Here it is. So it looks like we started doing, it says 1 through 9, but I think this might be, I've punched holes in all my numbers. So anyway, the first one I've got on the notes I think is 2, actually. I must have skipped 1 for some reason. Okay, so they give me a triangle. I have myself a little note that the drawing doesn't need to be accurate, which it doesn't. The drawing is just mostly for you to get your layout. If you prefer it to be accurate, you can either do it online and then copy it onto your paper or just work on it with a ruler. But in general, any right triangle will do for now. So this one I've got 2 angles. I got the 90, the right angle they marked for me, or I know it. The other one is a 30, and they gave me one side, looks like the hypotenuse. Yeah. So immediately I know that the missing angle is 60 because there's 180 degrees in a triangle. They gave me 2 of them. I subtract to get the third one. The trig setup I've laid out and I put in the letters they gave me. So D over 6, F over 6, and then D over F. Now, this little bottom piece here, this is really the stuff that should be fairly new to you. The mechanics are not new, but using this calculator is probably new. Okay, so the first one I've done, the sine of 30 degrees. I generally use the angle they gave me just in case I've screwed something up easy. The sine of 30 degrees is equal to whatever side D is, which is missing, over the hypotenuse, which was 6. Now, the sine of 30 degrees, we did a little bit of that practicing before. You can either put it in this calculator in degree mode. You can go to that chart if you've got one. You can go to your unit circle if you prefer that. Or you can go to the internet. But the sine of 30 degrees is a half. So then I put in a half, and now I have 1/2 equals D over 6. You should have an algebra flashback right now. Because from here on out is nothing new. It is nothing but algebra. I'm taking this little equation, solving for an unknown, multiply both sides by 6, 3 equals D, ta-da. Same thing on the other one. The cosine of 30 degrees is equal to F over 6. The only thing missing is the one side, the adjacent side. Cosine of 30 degrees is either the square root of 3 over 2 or it's 0.8660 off the calculator. Solve for the missing F. There you go. I will take either answer. And if they don't come out exactly, because of round off error, if you end up with 5.197 or 5.188, that's close enough. I can figure that out. You just need to always keep at least 2 decimal places so that I know that you know what you're doing. Okay. This is pretty much the same thing over and over and over. They give me a triangle. I've copied it out of the book. You can tell already that I have kind of a method that I use for myself. I label all 3 angles, all 3 sides, fill in the ones I know, draw blanks for the ones I'm looking for. It helps me keep track of what I'm doing. I almost always label my triangle with adjacent and opposite based on the angle they gave me. I have to find all of them, but based on the angle they gave me is how I label that picture. I have a note to talk to you guys about the value of math experience, which I know I've already done once. I don't see why in here. Sine of 45 square root of 2. Oh, I know what it is. Mostly because when I looked at this triangle, I immediately knew that A and B are the same number. I didn't draw the picture that way. Because I knee-jerk draw to just whatever comes out. But if one angle's 90 and the other one's 45, the one left has to be 45. That makes that an isosceles triangle, which means those two legs, the opposite and the adjacent, have to be the same. So I really only had to do that one time. I did it twice just to prove it to you guys. And the other thing I was going to point out is, if you don't see that, if you don't know that, do it twice. Doing this problem the long way is still faster than doing a whole semester again because you refuse to do a problem the long way and you want to do every shortcut. That takes twice as long. If the long way works, if you know it, if you're comfortable with it, do it the long way. If you're going to be a math person or a math major, eventually the short way will become easy and you'll like it. If you're not, do it the long way. Who cares? Let's see. The next one you have to do with the calculator because there's no unit circle, so you're stuck with decimals, but it's still the same thing over and over and over. I've done all these layouts. I wonder what number this is, since I've punched holes in all my numbers here. The one I have on page 5 of my notes, which I assume would be number 6, since I skipped one, but on the page 5 one where they have the angle in degrees and minutes, I changed it to degrees with a decimal point. Don't go back. The back of the book has the answer in degrees and minutes because their push is that if I gave it to you in this form, you should give it back to me in this form. That might be true if you were going to do this as a career or professionally. You know, same deal with if I hand you my pocket knife and it's open, do you want to hand it back to me open? If I hand it to you and it's closed, I want to get it back closed. It's that kind of scenario. But this is not that kind of scenario. This is a class. You're practicing. You're not giving me anything important. Change it to decimals. Stick with it. Don't kill yourself trying to flop back and forth because you don't need to. If you ever need to, you'll get good at it. Same thing on the next one. Go to the degrees and decimals. Keep it that way. Same thing on the next one. Then I get to the one on page 8. I'm going to renumber these. I see that now. The one on page 8, I don't have but one angle. Just the right angle is the only thing I know. So, I can't do the other setup I've done on the other problems, which is to always do the angle part first and get that out of the way. I'll have to do it last. So, I'm stuck with doing a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which is something you guys have done for years now. And then after I get that one done, that gives me all three sides. I still don't have any angles. I usually do the tangent because it lets me use the two sides they gave me. And that way if I've screwed up something in the arithmetic by figuring out the missing side, I'm not dependent on making another mistake based on my first mistake. Most of my mistakes you'll see in here, or if we were in class that you would see me do on the board, are arithmetic. I transpose numbers. I love to do 2 plus 2 is 2, 5 plus 5 is 5. I love to carry numbers down instead of actually adding them. It's a terrible habit. I try to keep track of it, but if it gets me, that's what'll get me. Okay, so this one should be number, I guess this is number 9. We're supposed to do 1 through 9. 1 through 9, yep. So on page 9, that's number 9. I have to do the same thing again. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. I use the two sides they gave me to find one of the angles, and then subtract to find the third one. And that is, oh, there's a part 2. I'm going to go ahead and stop here and do a second one for 6.2 because since the notes are broken up, it makes the videos easy to break up.